Deputy Speaker, honourable members, when the DA removes the ANC from national government in 2024, we will slash the petrol price by R6 per litre. We'll slash it by cutting fuel prices and fuel taxes and by deregulating the fuel market. We will slash it because we actually care about the people who are struggling to make ends meet. The reality is that not every South African has got a couple of $1 million shoved into a couch at home that will enable them to weather the coming winter of discontent. We care, unlike the Honourable Luzipo, that workers can barely afford the taxi fare to get to work, and those without work can't afford to go out and look for work. Government's petrol price increases have pushed the food prices up dramatically, all because they are greedy and because they now need to understand that their tax is more important than the food price to ordinary South Africans. They've also driven up that cost because the rail system under the ANC has collapsed entirely, which means that the majority of the food in South Africa is transported by road and therefore goes up when the petrol price goes up. When the DA removes the ANC from national government in 2024, we will slash fuel prices to bring down the cost of food. Yes, Honourable Koornoff, you told us we were dreaming about Tshwane and Joburg and Nelson Mandela Bay and every other municipality where you've been kicked out of office. The DA cares that parents and grandparents have to look into the eyes of hungry children every night.
Ashi, can I please call a point of order? My leader needs a little bit of protection because I'm sitting right here and I can't hear him. So if you could just ask the House to have a little bit of decorum.
All of you, including in your ranks, have some decorum. Go ahead, Honourable Member.
The DA cares that parents and grandparents have to look into the eyes of hungry children to tell them that there's nothing for supper. The DA cares that school children have to study on empty stomachs and that millions are suffering from childhood stunting because of the lack of food. And honestly, Honourable Luzipo, your economic platitudes and your jargon mean absolutely nothing to those parents who cannot put food on the table. We will do so because we care about jobs, and we understand that jobs come from a healthy economy and businesses that are thriving and creating jobs. And they are created when you reduce the input costs. When the DA removes the ANC from national government in 2024, we will slash fuel prices because we know, unlike the ANC, that fuel prices affect the poorest of the poor the most. Poor families spend the highest proportion of their salaries on transport and food. Cutting fuel prices will lift millions out of poverty. Fuel prices are high because government slaps on taxes. A full third of the fuel price is taxes that go to government. Taxes that pay for the incapable and corrupt state. R6 per litre. R6 per litre. That's how much more our citizens are paying for petrol more than countries like Botswana, who have the same problems that the Honourable Luzipo outlined, and they don't slap on the tax because they understand. We need to recognise the urgency of the situation now. We need to slash petrol prices now. And we can afford to do it. We can afford to do it if we get tough on corruption. We can afford it. If we end cadre deployment, we can afford it. If we slash the VIP protection budget, we can afford it. If we close failed state-owned entities, we can afford it. What the ANC can't afford is to keep ripping off ordinary South Africans because we are gutful of having to pay the price for your corruption. We also need a president. We also need a president in this country who's got a full-time focus on running the country. Not one eye on his business and one eye on his farm. Full-time serving the people of South Africa. The billionaire president can afford to pack up and leave and go anywhere. It's ordinary South Africans who've got no choice. We have to make South Africa work. So if you care about anything at all on the government benches, cut the fuel price. Because if you don't, I would advise you to look at what happened in the Arab Spring. I would advise you to see what is happening right now in Sri Lanka.
Point of
And
order.
if you don't do it,
Point of
I
order.
can promise you this. In 2024, the DA is going to do it for you.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to check if it's parliamentary to say khatfo.
Yeah, no, Honorable Steenhuisen, that fancy Afrikaans expression is not parliamentary. Don't use it, please. And no, Chief Whip, don't use it as well.
Well, I can
Assembly.
tell you, Deputy Speaker, it's a lot more part of polite lexicon than the word the President used at this very podium 2 weeks ago.
No.
Cadre deployment is at the root of corruption and state capture in this country.
It has institutionalized criminal elements.
It's become one big criminal syndicate and racket and protection operation.
It is a racketeering and organized crime operation.
It is a recipe for disaster. It is almost putting the fox in charge of the chicken house.
The ANC is the biggest beneficiary of cadre deployment corruption.
How was it possible for these criminals to be appointed to positions of such power in the first place?
It's one of the biggest criminal stitch-ups in the history of South Africa.
It's impossible for anybody in the ANC to say they didn't know this was happening.
They knew what was going on, and they chose to do nothing about it.